Okay, hello everybody and welcome to the webinar today, which is how to use cTrader. This is going to be a beginner's guide today. So we're going to start off going through sort of some of the basics, working through some of the sort of main features that we use in this platform. Now, we're not going to be able to cover everything because it's quite an in-depth platform, and you can get into doing all sorts of algorithms and all sorts of different things with cTrader. But what we're going to do is to go through the sort of basics to get you set up, get the chart set up, show you a lot of the useful features that I use with this platform. And on top of that, it is a very intuitive platform as well. So once you kind of know where to go and how to start to do some things, you'll realize that the rest sort of becomes sort of fairly sort of self-explanatory on that sort of self-journey of working out how to do things. So the session today will run for approximately an hour. We'll keep it under an hour. I want to make it as interactive as possible. So if you've got questions on the topics or questions on how to do things, or if you're struggling to do things when you're working along with your platform, then drop them into the questions box. Let's sort of try and work through this and help you as we go. Any more sort of more complicated things, we'll save those to the end. And in fact, we know we can always sort of help you on a one-to-one basis if there is a greater difficulty after the webinar. Now, please take a note of the risk disclaimer. As usual, we need to make sure that everyone's comfortable with this. We will be taking a look at the live markets. You know, any markets that we take a look at, any trading opportunities we look at, any sort of trades that we participate in today are purely for training purposes. They're not for financial advice, so please make sure that you're comfortable with the terms and that this is just a training webinar today. Okay, so let's move over to the platform. Now, I've got a platform opened up here. Now, I've had this platform for quite a few months now, so there are some elements of this that I've changed already. Now, I've tried to change things back and remove things to get them back to how this may look stock to you once you've first opened up an account and first installed your cTrader platform. So again, I'm going to show you how to sort of change a few things here if it doesn't look quite the same as mine at the moment. So first of all, the platform that we've got here is the cTrader desktop platform, and that's the one that I mentioned to you to set up and to go for. The reason being is if you open up your Pepperstone account, you can actually open up, they've got lots of different platforms, and you may prefer MT4, you may prefer MT5, or one of the other platforms. If you did, that's absolutely fine, but you really wouldn't be interested in this session today. We're focusing on cTrader here, and there are different versions of cTrader. So you've got cTrader for your mobile device. You know, for your phone or your tablet. You've got cTrader Web, which is a web-based platform, or you've got cTrader Desktop. Now, this is the cTrader Desktop platform, and the reason why I say go for the cTrader Desktop platform is because you've got a few extra features on this which you don't get on the web platform, and namely they are a fast execution, trade execution method, which I'll take you through a bit later on towards the end of the session once we've worked out how to use the rest of it. So out of the bunch, I think this version is by far the easiest, and it is a very sort of simplistic and easy platform to use. Now, you can also use this. You could have opened up an account in CFDs, or you could have opened up as spread betting, depending upon your location. With our arrangement with Pepperstone, if you're eligible from a regulatory point of view to have a spread betting account, you can have a spread betting account with cTrader. I only know of one other broker that does that, and they're not personally my favorite broker at all. So this is fairly rare in my experience to have a cTrader account or cTrader platform that also allows you to use spread betting. So let's have a look at how the sort of functions here. If you have a CFD account, by the way, the differences between the CFD account and the spread betting account is very, very similar. The only difference being is that you'll be trading in lots as opposed to stakes. So what we have, if I show you quickly, if we have a look here, you can select the trade size. These are stakes per point. So if I say we've got a stake here of a pound, 1.00, that's £1 per point. Okay, and you can sort of go up from there. Now, if you have CFDs, then you'll be trading in CFD lots, and we've spoken about CFD lots in the past as well. So either is absolutely fine. Either gives you, I say, different terminology, but the stake sizes are slightly different with CFDs. So when you get your platform and when you install your platform, it's going to look something like this. You may have the white background, you may have different colored candles. I seem to recall when I first opened up my account, it was a different colored candles, but I'm going to show you how to change all of that anyway. If we look at the platform, we've got sort of 3 to 4 panels that you're going to have. You may well have this panel here open as well. So then you've got sort of 4 main panes. We'll remove this one at the moment, and we'll just focus on the others and talk through quickly what we've got here, and then we can move on to some of the more interesting things. So first of all, we've got a chart here, obviously our price chart. We're going to get into the detail of the price chart in a bit more detail once we've covered the rest of the items, but you can put a number of different charts in here if you want. You can see that I've just got one chart. You can click on the tabs along the top here, and as you can see, I've now got multiple charts on my screen, and these are all the charts of the instruments that I've got open at the same time. So if I go back to the one single chart, you'll see that all of these tabs along the top here are for different markets. And when I click on that tab with multiple chart mode, it opens up a small window for each of all of these markets that I've got open there. As I say, we'll come back to the detail on charts and spend a bit more time on that in a moment. If we come over to the right hand side here, you've got this sort of dome here. Now, this gives you lots of information about the market that you're trading. So here we're on gold. You've got here a deal ticket that you could enter a trade manually if you want to. So you could add a stop loss, for example, and then you can sort of add the number of pips away or the price away that you want. You've got a place here to put a target. You've also got a place here to add a trailing stop if you want to. And then you can click sell or buy, and then you can place that order. So that's an easy way to enter a trade into the market at this particular time. You've got the next tabs across the top here, which gives you an opportunity to put a limit order in. You've got the next tabs to put a stop order in or a stop limit. So you've got all of those sort of functions there, and I'm not going to get into the detail of that because I'm sure we all know how the detail behind how to use a deal ticket. We then got here a market depth window. If you find that useful, that can be gives you an indication of orders. I find it quite irritating sometimes, but maybe it could be very useful if you're trading a market that's not very liquid, for example. There's also other information down here like the calendar, which gives you information about the of news items which may be impacting on this particular market. Now, this is a window here that has got all of the information combined into one. And if you just sort of scroll down it, gives you things like the market hours, it gives you things like the pip size, and a lot of information about the spec of the particular contract and the instrument that you're taking a look at there. If we come back and take a look at these top symbols, top tabs along the top here, you'll see that we can skip over, and rather than having accumulated information all on one tab, you've got the whole window open to the dome, and this is where you could set your orders directly into the market if you wish to. So a bit like a matrix. On some platforms they're called matrix, on some platforms they're called domes. Same type of principle really. You can see where the price is, you can see where the orders are, and it gives you the ability to be able to place those orders directly at a specific sort of price point. You've got the next tab, which gives you the calendar, which is, as I say, information about that is due to come out or has come out, which may well impact on the on these markets. You've got news events. There's also auto chartist as well, which is a sort of a back office system that gives you some sort of indication on patterns, etc., in these charts. So that's essentially what we've got here on that sort of right hand side. If we come over to the bottom now, and I'm just going to drag this sort of window up to give you a bit more information. These, as you've seen, these windows are very customizable. So you can just drag the edge of them, make them bigger or smaller, and move them around to construct the screen how you want to. The bottom tabs here, again, fairly self-explanatory, so I'm not going to run through these, spend too much time on these. We've got the position tab, all your open positions. I took a little trade here on gold earlier to give a little demonstration of a live market, a live trade. So you've got live market, live trades there. You've got orders here of any orders sitting in the markets. You've got your trade history here of past trades. Now this actually on the history tab is where you can get statements and you can draw your statements down. So again, you can come across to the statement tab here, and you can select sort of HTML or maybe export to Excel, for example. And then once you click on statement, it will download that statement and save it onto your computer. So it's quite useful to download your trading history and statements. And again, you can do that on a monthly basis. At the moment, we've got set to current month. You could set the time of the month that you want, or you could do it as a day. You know, you control the time zone of the statement, and you download it from there. The next tabs, again, fairly sort of common tabs. You've got price history, price alerts. So any alerts that you've put into the market. You've got transactions there, and you've also got a journal there as well of all the actions that you've executed on the platform. So those are the sort of like accounts, if you like, the accounting side of the of your trade. And I like to try and keep that down as to the bare minimum. Let's get that down nice and low so that we can focus on the chart itself when we come to that. So if we move over to the far left hand side now, we've got this grey bar at the far left hand side. We'll come down to the bottom first, and what we've got here is quick tabs here to tell you to take you to places where you can deposit into your account and where you can withdraw. You've also got a settings tab here. So we'll go into the settings tab first of all. There's a few useful things here. Again, I'm not going to go through all of these because a lot of these are self-explanatory, but some that are quite useful is if you come to the email alerts, you may well find when you start with a new cTrader platform that you get a lot of emails. So every time you execute a trade and you've closed a trade, you get emails come through. So the system the system sort of alerts you to each trade that you've taken. Now, if you take quite a few trades, this can be quite annoying. So what you might want to do if these have become a bit of a nuisance to you, is you can actually just sort of knock those off. You can also control what margin alerts you get as well. So if you can sort of set these up so that maybe you want to sort of drop a few off and just be alerted that once the margin gets extremely low, then maybe you want to be notified then. So you can adjust that, and you can sort of set that up so that it's so that you're comfortable with it. We'll click apply, and then that saves those settings. Now, the other tab that is quite useful is if you come across to this general tab, and then we just click on the general tab. Again, this has got a number of things in here, which again is fairly sort of self-explanatory. So I'm not going to get into the sort of detail on this, but there's a couple of things that are quite useful. So first of all, you may prefer a light sort of template platform, or you may prefer a dark one. So if I click on the light one, for example, everything turns to sort of white and colored, so a white background. You may prefer that, or if you want the darker background, you can select the darker background. There's also audio sounds as well when trades are executed. If those become a bit annoying for you, you can turn those off as well. The other thing that's very useful on this page is the scale, the interface scale here. And I've got mine set to 110%. Now I run 24-inch screens. Now I run 24-inch screens, which are a higher resolution than a normal 24-inch screen. So they're Dell monitors. I can't remember the name of the monitors that they are actually. Super sharp or something like that they're called. Ultra sharp. The U20, U2415s, the ultra sharp monitors. So they run a higher resolution, and when this is set to 100%, if I set that, you can see that everything shrinks down. I just have a bit trouble sometimes reading the scales. So and some of the numbers here, they're a little bit on the small side. So if that becomes a little bit of a problem, or you want to adjust that, you can just adjust this scale, and you can go up to whatever you want. That's 130%, and it will adjust this permanently for you. So I've found, for me personally, I found 110% works quite well for the screens that I use. So those are the main sort of useful things that I think are quite useful here. There's a number of other things that you can get into fairly quickly. One that I want, for example, hotkeys. You may be aware, again, similar to MT4, you can actually use hotkeys and keys on the keyboard to execute a lot of transactions and a lot of functions. You can do the same again here for cTrader. Again, it's quite useful if there's something that you commonly use and you want to sort of toggle between on a regular basis. You can set a key on your keyboard in order to be able to do that. So you've got all of those functions there, and it's probably something quite useful to have a play with at some time. The other thing that you may find useful, again, if you first set up your account and first set up a cTrader account, is to come over to this quick trade tab here. And the quick trade tab, it enables a quick way of executing trades. I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment. But I would recommend that anybody who's brand new to using cTrader, or brand new to using any trading platform for that matter, is to use this on the demo and play around with the demo first of all until you're comfortable with executing trades. Now, what you can do here is select close all positions without warning. You know, I've got mine sort of set to this, and I've also got set to single click, for example. And I think it actually comes with disabled as standard. And that's because it's a very easy way to execute trades and place trades on the market on a live chart. And I think from a safety perspective, it's disabled to start with as standard. But I've got mine set here to single click, and we'll go and take a look at those in a few moments in due course. So once you've set those, you can click apply. Now, what that's done is it's taken the sort of safety barriers, if you like, off executing trades in this way. So just be aware of that. Maybe try this on the demo first of all. So let's come out of this now. But before I come out, I'll just show you here. This is where you come in to set sort of automated preferences here with charts. You can actually use EAs, and you can actually add your own coding into these platforms as well. So it's very, very powerful platform all in all. So those are the main sort of settings. Again, if I'm losing people, or if you've got particular sort of difficulties with what we've covered so far, then again, just pop those into the questions box, and I'll pause and I'll go and take a look at those. If not, I'm just going to sort of continue to move on and assume that that all this is making good sense and it's all looking good so far. So I'm going to come over to these tabs up the top here, and you've got the sort of menu tab here, expand the menu. This is where we can add or find watch lists, and we can adjust and build our own watch list. Peter, sorry, Andy, what box is it that you want to show? This one? You found it? Okay. So there is a menu expand box at the top left-hand corner. You click on that. This will bring up the market watch lists, if you like. So you've got all your symbols in here, and we're going to set up a watch list. So we can show you how to do this. So first of all, we want to come over to watch lists. I've got one there already set up, but we'll create a new one here. You've got a tab there, create new watch list. What should we call it? We'll call it today's. So we'll just today's watch list. Click OK, and now you've got today's watch list listed there. So what we can do is you click on the little arrow and you can see there's nothing in there. You can drag or add symbols into it. So what we can do is we'll click on the plus sign, and we're going to add some symbols in. So again, you just come down. We've opened up spread betting here, FX. You can select a little star next to each instrument, and yeah, if we just sort of scroll down, you can select your favorite markets to add them into the list. I'm just sort of adding a few sort of random ones here. Now, we may decide that we want some metals in here, so we scroll down, open up the metals tab, and we'll put some gold in there. We'll put some silver in there as well. You know, you've got some energies. We'll stick some crude in. and the indices and so forth. So it's as simple as that. You can open up a number of different instruments and a number of different watch lists. It's entirely up to you. You've even got equities in there as well. So if you like trading equity markets, um, some of the FANG stocks, for example, you've got them all in there. Okay, so we've got our watch list now that we've just created, and we've got a chart here as well. And again, you can see that I've got a couple of watch lists here. So you could have one for metals and commodities, and one for forex markets, one for stocks. It's entirely up to you. You can construct this how you want, and you can rip them out of here and move them onto a separate screen if you want to by clicking this tab here. You can see where my cursor is. It's a box with an arrow off it. We'll use that in a moment, and that will show you how to take that off and move that onto another screen. You know, many traders have got multiple trading screens, and if you've got multiple trading screens, you may well want to split this up and have them in different places. So let's take a look now. So first of all, we've got a situation now where we've got a watch list, we've got a chart, we've got our order matrix here, and information on that particular market. Now, if I wanted to change the market, what I can do is I can just click on the instrument, and what it's done is it's now changed everything over. So I just clicked on Aussie yen from my watch list. My Aussie yen chart has opened up, and now the information here on the order tab has changed over to Aussie yen as well. So very easy way to scan through the markets. You can scan through your watch list and just literally click through, and you're going through the different ones. You might think, oh well, okay, well Aussie yen wasn't looking very interesting. The Aussie Swiss may be looking a little bit more interesting. You know, you can come along to sort of Aussie CAD, and you can see the way that you can scan through the markets here. Now this sort of feature, I suppose, is where you can scan through a watch list and open up charts with the associated functions here to be able to trade on those charts, is quite a premium function, I think, with trading platforms. It's only been sort of in more recent years that that platforms have managed to, or retail platforms, I should say, have managed to incorporate this sort of function. It used to be something years ago which was reserved for the premium platforms, which normally you had to pay a bit of money for. So we can see now how we can create a watch list, how we can pop that into the chart, and how we can then scan through those markets sort of quite easily. Let's shrink that away, and you shrink that away by just going to click on that menu tab there. So now what we're going to do is we'll take a look at these charts, and we'll construct the chart the way that we want it to look, with the instruments on it. And if yours doesn't look the same way that you would like it to look, i.e. the background and the color of the candles, then we'll adjust that as well. And then what we'll do is we'll set that up as a template, and we'll then expand that further by opening up more charts. Okay, and we'll start to see, if you've got multiple screens, for example, you could set charts up on other screens, and they can all be linked together. So again, another quite a premium feature that that we can use on this platform. So first of all, we're going to change the look of the chart. So I've got this set to candlesticks at the moment. If you right click on the chart, you'll find that you can sort of come down and you get a menu. You can come down and you can see chart type. You've got bar charts, candles charts, line charts, dot charts. If you haven't got candlestick charts at the moment, I'm presuming that you may well like to use candlestick charts because they're part of the strategies that we use at Smack the Markets. So you can select candlesticks and you'll get your candlesticks. The other thing that you can do here is to change the color scheme of the candles as well. And again, I've tried to revert these back to how they would come when the chart is first or when the platform is first opened, but I haven't been able to reverse those. I've got a feeling, if I remember correctly, when I first opened this last year, it was something like red and blue candles. You may be happy with red and blue. You may think that they would rather have them with the conventional green and red. The easy way to do this is you come down to the color options, and you can see here that you can adjust the color options again. So if we look at for example, you've got the background of the chart. You can change the color to any kind of set color here, or you can literally make up whatever color you want. The foreground, you can adjust that. The grid as well, so you can adjust the intensity of the grid. So you could have a white grid, for example. I've got it set to just a very, very faint grid, but you can adjust that how you like. You've got all sorts of different things here. So we've got the bull candles and the bear candles. These are the outlines of the candles. Again, you can set the color of them, and you can see that I've just set mine to green, and green for a bull candle and red for a bear candle. And then you've got the inside of the candle, so the filling within the candle. I've got mine set to the same colors, so nothing special, but you can check those and do those how you set those how you wish. There's a number of other things here that you can sort of reset as well. The one thing that we've got on the chart that you may or may not wish is this tick volume. So this sort of gives you the sort of tick volume of the chart at this moment in time. Now, if you want to remove that, then we come down. I'll probably find. I will find out where to do that. I've obviously forgotten where to. I've got a feeling I'll find out where to do that. I've it's on one of these menus that we where we actually take that off, but I can't find it at the moment. View options, here we go, view options, and you come up and this is obviously everything that's on the screen, and there's your tick volume. So you can unselect that and it takes it away. There we go. So the next thing that we're going to add on to here is the usual instruments that we like to use. So we'll put in some indicators, and again, you can right click on the chart. You can then select the indicators. You come down to indicators, and we'll put some trend indicators on first of all. So that's moving averages. So we'll go to a simple moving average, and we want to put a 10 period. We'll make it white so we can easily see it. Click OK, and then we've got a 10 period moving average on the chart. we just go and put a 20 period on as well. So we just come down to the indicators, go to trend, again, lost it, indicators, trend, simple moving average, and now I'm going to change that to a 20 period. We'll set that in blue. Click OK, and then we've got a 10 and a 20 period moving average on the chart. And you can do the same for a 50 period moving average, or however many you wish to have. The next things that we would want to put on there may be some of the indicators that we find useful. So again, we can do this by just right clicking on the chart. And in fact, there's a couple of ways to do this. We can right click on the chart and come down to indicators, or if you go to the menu bar at the top, you can see that you've got a shortcut there. So if we go to that menu bar, we'll put in a couple of oscillators. So we'll put in a MACD and 12, 26 and 9. So we'll keep with those colors. Click OK, and there is our MACD on the chart. Again, you can change the colors of these if you wish, and the sort of design of them too. So good question, Andy. You can actually change the type of chart that you how that actually sets up. So you can actually do that here. They're actually set to bid. Mine are set to bid, but you can actually do that in one of these settings. I can't remember which one it is, but you can actually sort of change in one of these settings somewhere the type of candles that you're seeing. The other thing that you're actually seeing there on there, by the way, is the buy and the sell price. So if I sort of zoom into that, you can see that the chart is set to the sell price, which is how actually a lot of the professional charting packages default to. So it's showing the sell price. You add the spread for the bid price, for the buy price. And you can actually remove these lines if you find that they're quite irritating. Okay, so Satar, the dollar market. The dollar market, you can actually have the dollar index. You can get that on MT4. You can get that on cTrader as well. The USDX chart gives you the dollar price. And again, it's quite useful because normally the dollar is part of the ICE index, and it's quite an expensive package to purchase if you want that live data. But again, you get that live data through these platforms included. Well, I don't want to say for free, but it is free effectively. It's included in the price, or the price of free of having the platform, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's put an RSI on the chart as well, and we'll right click here. We'll go down to indicators. We'll go to our oscillators, and we'll go to relative strength index. We'll put a setting of 14 in there. We'll change the color. I'll change it to red, and I'll make it a slightly thicker line and set it to number 2, and then click OK. And now I've got an RSI on the chart. I've also got the MACD on the chart as well. You might find that these are a little bit big, so I'm going to just remove them down. So I shrink them down to so they're not taking up too much of the screen. And that's a way that we can easily, quickly go through setting up some of the main features of the, um, of a chart. So any questions? Let me try and think of the things that you would use on a daily basis. Um, this tab down the side here, this little menu tab here, again, is quite useful. What it does is you've got your Fibonacci, for example. We use a lot of Fibonacci, so let's select Fibonacci. We can go and drop that onto the charts, for example. You can change the color of the Fibonacci as well. Just click on it, right click. I just did a right click there. You can select the levels that you want to see on your Fibonacci instrument. You can also set the color and the size of the levels, etc., the thickness of the levels. To draw lines on the charts, you can come up to the line here. If you just sort of click on that horizontal line, you can then sort of add those onto the charts as well, just like so. You could probably add emerging patterns on the chart, Satar. That's probably a bit more advanced than what I'm going to cover into today's session. To be fair, that's getting quite technical. There are lots of things that you can do with these. What I'm going to do now is to move this over and save this as a template. So I want to remove that. So all I did was I selected the line, and then I hit the delete key on my keyboard and it's removed it. So if we've now set up a chart the way that we like it to look, with our instruments on it and our moving averages and our color of our candles and the color of the background, for example, we might want to save that as a template so that we can open up all charts with this template. So the way that we do that is you just right click on the chart. You can come down to the templates tab here, and you can see there save as template. So if we save that, we'll call that today's. And we've got now today's template set into the the system there. So now what we can do is we've saved our settings, and we can open up other charts in the same settings. So if I come across to well, let's come across to a completely different chart, for example. Let's come across to this one. Well, let's go back to here. You can see that, well, let's try one that I haven't messed around with before. Here we go. Here's one that I haven't messed around with before. And now I'm just going to go to the template here, which in actual fact, again, you've got a shortcut at the top here on the top menu. So rather than right clicking, you can just come to this tab, and then you can come down to today's. And once we click on that, what it's done is it's set the chart up with the same template. So the same zoom, the same indicators, the same moving averages. The other things that are quite useful with these charts, or it is the time frames that we use them on. So at the moment, we've got this set to a 15-minute chart. You can see that at the moment we're on Kiwi yen, and you've got 15 minutes next to it. So if I click on that tab, that down arrow, you can see all the different types of time frames that you've got. So you've got time frames, you've got tick charts, you've got Renko range bars, you've got pretty much any different type of time frame that you would like. Now you can go through these and put an arrow by the side of the ones that you like, the ones that you commonly use. And once you've selected the arrow, they pop up here in the top menu. So you've got an easy, quick reference here to change the timeframes for the common timeframes that you like to use. So I'm just going to click away from that. So at the moment you can see that 15-minute is highlighted. If I want to go to a 1 minute, you just click on the 1 hour, sorry, 1 hour, it goes to the 1 hour, the 60-minute chart. I can go down to the 100 tick chart, for example, as well. And I can also go down to a 50 tick chart, which is some of the timeframes I like to use, not on currencies, by the way, but on index markets. So you can easily select the quick reference of the timeframes that you like to use. And if you click on those 3 dots there, that will open up the menu here to be able to select your favorite timeframes for that top menu. Okay. So we've looked at saving a template. We've looked at setting up the charts. We've looked at the what the platform actually sort of does. Now let's take a look at some markets. Now we've set up a watch list, but we've also got a number of tabs open at the top here. If I just click on this plus sign, you can see that I can now add more instruments, and it will open up a new chart here. If I click on the down arrow next to that, you'll see all of the different instruments of the charts that I've got open in these tabs. So I'm a bit of a messy worker. I tend to have all the charts that I'm interested in open at the same time, and then I can just sort of flick through the tabs along the top. Depends how you like to work. You could have put those into a watch list each day and sort of scan through them. It's entirely up to you. But you've got different sort of ones that you can skip through, and you can so you can have them tabs open. You can have the watch list, however you like to work. So let's go to the S&P 500, and I'm going to put a template on here. Let's put today's template on there. That's set to a 100 tick chart. Now, one of the things that I like to do with charts is to set the scale so that it's a reasonable scale. You'll find that often you go down to low time frames and the scale is quite, you could be having a look at increments of 2 pips, for example. I'm not interested in a trade of less than 10 pips. So I tend to sort of move these down and sort of make sure that they're within a range of sort of 10 pips. So a good example of this is let's go to let's put the NASDAQ in here. Okay, so if we go to the 100 tick chart, you can see here that we've got 11.825 to 11.830. So you've got increments of 5 pips. So each block, on the grid, if you can see the grid on my charts, it's very faint, but the grid is 5 pips. So I like to just drop that down so that each grid is 10 pips. Let me just change the color of that grid. Make that a little bit more cleaner. So now I can see, and I know very easily each grid is 10 pips in size. So it makes it easier for me from a trade perspective. Also thinking back in my own mind, the size of the trade and the range of the trade when I'm thinking about setting up a trade on here. Okay. So this is something that I find sort of quite useful. The other thing that I want to come to before I'm going to start to look at expanding these charts is I just want to highlight how to use the quick order entry here, because we've looked at setting a deal ticket here, which is a very easy way to do things, but you can come up to this quick order entry on the top of the middle of the chart. So this gives you the price, it gives you the buy and the sell. So you can hit buy and sell and it will buy and sell the market at the market instantly. We can set the size that we want. So, you know, I don't know, let's set stakes, £10 a point, for example. We can sort of, if we want to be buying the market, we could take this 10 stakes, this tab, drag it and decide, well, actually, I'm going to place it an order to buy here, and it's just executed the order. And then you come over and you can see that you've got a stop loss tab underneath and a profit target at the top. So you can take the stop loss tab, drop that down. You might say, okay, well, I want to drop that down to here. And that tells you that it's £115 risk on the trade. So when the market comes down to the stop location, that's going to cost you £115. And you might sort of want to drag your target up and say, well, okay, my target's going to sit up here at £179. But it does the calculations for you, and it's a very, very easy way of executing trades and managing them. You know, you can move these whenever you want. So, you know, you can move them up to lock in profit or take risk off. You know, and the same with the target, you know, as well. If you want to close the trade, of course, you can come and close it here from the sort of positions part. You could also come across here and you can click on the little arrow, the cross, and that will close the trade as well. You also have a couple of other sort of functions here, but one that's quite useful is if I open this up while this order is still open, and you can manage multiple not sort of targets here, but multiple stops. So you could actually set to take a profit of once the market hits 10 pips, and you could set it to the amount of the stakes that you have open. So what did I set this to? 10 stakes, so £10 a point. So we could set what first target to take, say at 5 pips, we can take, we'll take five off at 5 pips, for example. Click apply, and there you see it's just gone into the market there, that at 5 pips profit, we'll take 5 pips off the close 5 pips of the trade. So it's another way of actually managing sort of low stops within an order here on the market. Okay, so it wasn't necessarily a trade that I was looking at beyond anything other than a demo here, but it gives you an idea as to how you can use some of the sort of useful functions without getting into too much depth. The other things that we can do, which are going to be extremely useful, I think, is the ability here to be able to split screens and have multiple screens open. So if we go to this little box here where it says detach chart, I'm going to click on that. And now what I've done is you see that the chart has now detached into another window. Okay, you can see I can move that around. Now that means that I can move this onto another screen. I'm going to try and keep it here. It's going to be a little bit messy, but I'm going to try and keep it on here to show you the point. So we could have, I've just done that again. Let me just try and keep that down there. So we could have, for example, or you may have multiple trading screens. You could put multiple charts open on other screens. Another thing that you might want to do is to link those screens together. So I've got a chart here on the NASDAQ on a 100 tick chart. Let me set this up so that we can have another chart open of a 15-minute chart. So if I come to this white box here that's got a red line through it, I'm going to link that together now. So I think I've got a couple of others linked. So I'm going to go for the F button there. So I've selected it to F. We'll come to this one here and we'll set this one to F as well. And you can see there that that's now changed instantly to the NASDAQ. Let me just get that one back again. And there we go. We've got the NASDAQ on the 100 tick chart here, and we've got the NASDAQ on a 100 tick chart here too, on two separate charts. I'm going to change this one now to a, let's say, a 15-minute chart. Try and sort of show you the point. So what I've got here now is I've got our NASDAQ on a 100 tick chart. I've got a NASDAQ on a 15-minute tick chart. Again, I'm going to try and sort of if I have this on a different screen, for example, then what's going to happen is when I change the screen for this chart, it's going to change the screen on this one as well. So it's going to change the instruments across the two charts. So very useful. For instance, you might want to have, if you've got multiple screens, you might want to have a number of different time frames open at the same time for the same market. And then you can actually scan through your watch list and it will change the markets over on each of the different sort of charts that you've got, but it will keep the time frames that you've got them set to as well. So quite a useful feature. Again, a feature that is very useful for premium platforms, which is available now on sort of cTrader as well. Okay, so I'm just running through my list here of things that I've wanted to cover through the course here today. One other thing that I find very useful, again, so let's just shrink this down. This has been expanded too much. So now I've shrunk that down to 10 pips. So 10 pip range. And again, when you start to drill them down to 10 pip range, again, this is a 10 pip range now, so it's a 20 pip range because of the time frame, but it starts to put things into perspective. So a trading tip here is that when these markets are live, rather than allowing the platform to adjust the range to the market, I adjust the range to what I want to trade with. And that way I know if we've got a flat market, I'm not interested in trading. Whether it's too jumpy, I'm not interested in trading. If it's the right performance, the right sort of geometry, then it becomes a lot clearer if I'm used to trading and I want to trade on a range of 10 pips in the market. So if that makes sort of sense. Another little tip here that is very, very useful. Now, I know a lot of us trade the Dow, the NASDAQ, a lot of those index markets. You can get an order here. You can easily decide, okay, well, one block here is 10 pips. I'm trading £10 a point, so that's £100 per block. My risk is £200 on the trade, so I'm going to sort of say, okay, there's my £200, and you can drag this and you can say, okay, well, I'm ready to be looking at an order around here if that market, and so you can hold it there and it won't execute. Holding your button on the mouse and it won't execute until, and it won't place those in the market until you're ready to place them. I find this very useful, as particularly if you're trading with a larger size, because if you're trading with a larger size, it will just, the market will move and take your order regardless. So you've got the ability there to sort of place it there, watch the market, decide how that price action matures and whether you want to execute or not. And once you do, you can release your finger and those orders get placed directly into the market. So, you know, for example, there. So this again is another thing that is very, very useful. It's very simple. It's very quick. It's very precise. Much easier to trade fast-moving index markets using this feature rather than actually using a deal ticket, for example. Failing that, without that, then you can just hit these sort of buy and sell buttons and, you know, the place order, and that does the places the trades directly into the market. So pivot points. Does the charts have pivot points? In actual fact, I haven't actually put pivot points onto the charts. So have they got pivot points? They probably have, almost certainly have somewhere along the line. It's just whereabouts they're based. Let me look. So we can actually go across to the marketplace here, which I've got now on another screen. I drag this across. So again, I've just gone to more indicators, and now we can see that there are multiple ones in here. Let's just try. That's gone to not going to be too helpful. That's gone outside. So I'm sure there will be, almost certainly there will be. You can see how many there are, but I'll look into that, and we'll so I'll look into a suitable pivot code. I think I just haven't actually put them in here on these charts myself. Okay. So other questions? Anything else that we that I can cover here today to sort of help you? So we've gone through what's on the platform, how to use it. We've taken a look at the different ways that you can execute trades. We've looked at a quick scout round as to what the sort of main features are of it, some very useful features as well. We've also looked at how you can set up multiple charts and actually take those off and put those onto other screens if you have multiple screens. If you've actually set up multiple screens, by the way, and you've got multiple screens and multiple charts on them, you can set that up as a desktop, and you come across to the top here and you can say save current workspace, and you can click on this, and you can then add more workspaces. As you can see there, I've got a couple, and I've added one here as desktop 1. So you can add more workspaces and for different configurations. So for example, if you maybe have a laptop and then you plug multiple screens into it and you use that from your trading office, when you go mobile, you might want a different configuration if you want to as well. So the quick trade box, if we come up here to the quick trade box, you've got to change the settings in here. You've got at the moment it's saying there £90 a point. You can click on the little arrow, and that will then you've got a slider here, so you can decide, well, okay, I really want to trade £50 a point, for example, and that's now set the setting to £50 a point. And wherever you sort of place that. The other thing that's quite useful for this is you could sort of say, okay, this is what I find I use this quite a bit for, is if I want to map a trade out, and I say, okay, well, I want to put my stop up here, but I want to be looking at an entry down here. That's £4,640. That's too much. So I'm going to double click on the order there, and you can see here it tells you minus 4,640. So I'm going to say, okay, well, I'll take that down to £5 a point. That's 464. Well, I want to go a bit more than that. I'm happy to go with 1,000 on the trade. So I'll go to 10 pips, 928. That's fine. So modified. So now I know that that's where I want my orders to be. I'm going to have to trade with £10 a pip. So we'll close that. I'll then change my setting here to £10 a point, and then I'll kind of set my trade up. Grab my stop loss here, and you can see, well, that's just under £910 risk on the trade. So that's the way that I sort of do the calculations, the trade calculations, very easily using that sort of feature. Okay, so we've been going for about sort of 10 minutes over what we'd planned to. Are there any other sort of questions that that I can answer, that we could I could help you on this at the moment? So the idea is get you comfortable with using this so that you can start to execute some trades. For an example, we've got here, let's just go through one on Kiwi yen. I'm not sure if this is a setup. I'm not sure if this is a sensible trade, but let's just imagine this is an example of a trade that we might consider. I'm going to work out my trade risk here by doing the trade back to front. Well, that's £107 risk by bracketing that range there if I wanted to trade this short. So I know I can crank that up a bit. Let's go to 50, and I'll put my entry below the low and stop above the high. There's risk is £540, and then my target, I want my sort of target down here, for example, at just over 1-to-1. So that's how I sort of use this function very simply to adjust, map out the trade size that I want to trade, the amount of risk I want to risk on the trade, placing the orders, and stop and targets as well. Okay, looks like we're sort of fairly comfortable on these things. If you're having particular difficulty with something, then by all means, ping me a message in the trading room, and I'll help you, or Fergal will help you. Whoever gets to it first. It is it's a very intuitive platform. So once you're sort of confident in working your way through it, you tend to find that most things are where you expect them to be, and the functions that you want are generally uh, sort of doable. It's just you sort of start to look in the menus across the top here, do a right click on the chart, or the right click on the window, and you'll get your um, your menu here, which will give you a lot of options, which in most cases will actually lead you to the answers that you're looking for. Okay. So if we're good with that, let's start to wrap this sort of session up today. And again, we'll see how things go. If we need to get into some more advanced usage of this platform, then we'll do a more advanced sort of session. But as I say, this session is really designed to be a sort of beginner's guide, and maybe just a little bit more than the beginner's guide, but certainly gets you up to speed with doing most of the functions, and getting the things set up how you may well like to use it, certainly with the techniques and the strategies that we tend to use here at Smack the Markets. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. The session is recorded, so we'll get that sort of posted out soon, and we'll go and take a look at the markets, live markets, and speak to you in the trading room. Okay, cheers for now. Thank you. Bye-bye.